Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our MISAD Bulletin, and we shall start with our headlines. At Beirut Marathon, Lebanese call for PM to return. Presidents Trump and Duterte meet in Manila. Moving on to our details, starting with Beirut. Thousands of Lebanese taking part in the country's annual marathon used the event to call on Prime Minister Saad Hariri to return home after he resigned under mysterious circumstances during a visit to Saudi Arabia. Hariri was a regular participant in the marathon, giving the international sports event a big boost. This year, President Michel Aoun had encouraged runners to call on Hariri to return. Noteworthy, Hariri unexpectedly announced his resignation on 4th of November in pre-recorded message broadcast on Saudi TV, criticizing Iran and Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group and saying he feared for his safety. On to Ankara, Turkey on Sunday dismissed as ludicrous and groundless a report that Turkish officials may have discussed kidnapping a US-based Muslim cleric in exchange for millions of dollars. On Friday, the Wall Street Journal reported that a special counsel was investigating an alleged plot involving former U.S. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and his son to forcibly remove Fathullah Gulen and hand him over to Ankara for as much as $15 million. In a statement, Turkey's embassy in Washington reiterated demands that the U.S. extradite Gulen so he can stand trial. In Baghdad, an Iraqi official says mass graves found in an area recently retaken from the Islamic State group could contain up to 400 bodies. Kirkuk governor said on Sunday that the bodies of civilians and security forces have been found in an abandoned base near Huwaija, a northern town retaken in early October. This comes as Iraqi forces have driven IS from nearly all the territory it once controlled. Moreover, authorities have already uncovered several mass graves in other newly liberated areas. On the other side of the world, Spain's Maritime Rescue Service says it has saved 276 migrants from 7 different boats attempting the perilous crossing of the Mediterranean Sea. The service said all the boats were intercepted by a rescue craft on Saturday in waters east of the Strait of Gibraltar after they had set sail from North African shores. It added that there were no confirmed casualties. This comes as tens of thousands of refugees and migrants each year try to cross the Mediterranean to seek a better life in Europe, with thousands drawn each year in the attempt. On to President Trump's Asian tour. President Donald Trump has arrived in the Philippines to attend a pair of international summits and close his 5-country tour of Asia. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte greeted President Trump and other leaders one by one as they arrived at a convention center in Manila for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. President Trump was originally scheduled to depart Manila on Monday, but he added a day to the visit so he could more fully participate in one of the summits. He arrived in Manila after a brief stop in Vietnam following his visit to Japan, South Korea, and China. In relation to the context, President Donald Trump on Sunday offered to mediate in the South China Sea disputes while his Chinese counterpart played down concerns over Beijing's military buildup and the prospects of war in the contested waters. President Trump said, "I am a very good mediator and arbitrator." This came during a news conference with his Vietnamese counterpart in Vietnam's capital Hanoi, before flying to Manila for the summit of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It's worth mentioning that China has steadfastly opposed what it calls U.S. meddling in the disputes and has balked at the U.S. Navy's incursions into what Beijing considers its territorial waters in the South China Sea. And finally, economic news. Hong Kong signed a free trade agreement and an investment deal on Sunday with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations impacts that it said are a vote against protectionism elsewhere. ASEAN officials said the free trade agreement they signed with Hong Kong in Manila is the sixth such deal forged by the 10-nation bloc after concluding similar pacts with China, Japan, South Korea, India, Australia, and New Zealand. This comes as the Philippines is hosting an annual summit of ASEAN heads of state with Asian and Western leaders that opens on Monday. And before ending our news, let's take another look at the most important headlines for today. At Beirut Marathon, Lebanese call for PM to return. Presidents Trump and Duterte meet in Manila. And this was all what we have for today in our Misa Bulletin. Thank you for joining us and see you tomorrow in a new bulletin.